Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to start our program shortly. Before we begin, please ensure that your microphone is muted to avoid any disruptions during the program. Your cooperation is highly appreciated. Thank you. A very good day to everyone, and welcome to our online webinar. We will be discussing the topic Curbing Clout of Addiction, E-Cigarettes and Vaping Generation. I, Evangeline Chongjesi, will be your moderator for today. Before I continue with our session, allow me to introduce our honorable panelists. Firstly, we have Officer Cheng Ching Ching as a policewoman from Tanjung Malim Perak. Next, we also have Dr. Elaine Lim Pobe as a doctor with 6 years of experience in the medical field, followed by Ms. Curly Su, a vape seller entrepreneur of LY Vape House, and Mrs. Julia Carolina Rose, a parent of 5 children. Now, moving on to our topic, e-cigarettes and vaping are no longer a new term for all of us in present day. According to Truth Initiative, and America's largest nonprofit public health organization, e-cigarettes are devices that operate by heating a liquid solution to a high enough temperature so that it produces an aerosol that is inhaled. E-cigarettes are known by many different names such as e-cigs, e-hookahs, mods, vape pens, tank systems, and so on. Some e-cigarettes are made to look like regular cigarettes, cigars, or pipes. There are also those that resemble pens, USB sticks, and other everyday items, which are difficult for us to distinguish whether if it's our usual everyday item or is it an e-cigarette. Now, I would like to start our webinar by directing our first question to Officer Cheng, who has contact with the cases of e-cigarettes in our society. I'm sure our audience today are keen to know more about what is e-cigarette and what is the difference between traditional cigarettes and e-cigarettes. Officer Cheng, the floor is yours.
Thank you, moderators. I am Chen Xingxing, the officer from Police Station Tanjung Maling. Today, I would like to share some information about e-cigarettes. First of all, I will explain the evolution of e-cigarettes. E-cigarettes devices are available in the market nowadays and have evolved since they were first introduced in the early 20th centuries. Over the years ago, e-cigarettes have evolved from simple devices that clearly resemble traditional cigarettes to more complex devices with enhanced features as we can see nowadays. Some of the e-cigarettes look like the flash drives or highlighter pens, just like mentioned by our moderator before. It will making easy for users to hide them in plain sight. We can realize that as standard evolution of e-cigarettes will help to enhance the performance and nicotine content and variety in terms of the efficiency of variations. Secondly, I will continue my sharing sessions with the statistic of e-cigarette addictions. We look inside the statistic of e-cigarette addictions by e-cigarettes are considered as a contemporary trend among the populations in Malaysia nowadays, particularly among teenagers and young adults. According to the most recent figures, that based on the result of 2020 ITC Malaysia survey, the prevalence of e-cigarettes usage in Malaysia climbed from 0.8% in 2011 to 4.9% in 2019. 3/4 of Malaysian e-cigarette users also smoke compatible cigarettes, and the prevalence of e-cigarette usage among Malaysian smokers in 2014 was comparable to the frequency of use among Canadians and United States smokers in 2016. Continue with the research that according to the certain local research, about 90% of current e-cigarette users were either the current or past cigarette smokers. And this fact is lends credence to the notion that the tobacco use may serve as a gateway to the use of other tobacco products, including in this instance, our topics, e-cigarettes. There was a study that is titled by Awareness of E-cigarettes among students at Malaysian Public University. And this study has revealed that the respondents were unaware of the dangers of smoking e-cigarettes. According to this study too, the majority of respondents, which is 69.08%, feel that the dangers of e-cigarettes are the same as those of traditional cigarettes. However, have 30.92% of respondents were still unaware of the dangers of e-cigarettes. In an effort to combat the threat of cigarette usage, our Malaysian Higher Education Minister was announced at November 2015 there was a ban on e-cigarette use and tobacco use smoking in university. And after I explained the statistic and the information, I would like to share the comparison of traditional cigarettes and e-cigarettes. What is different among them? So they have a key difference between smoking by using traditional cigarettes and vaping using e-cigarettes in the delivery of nicotine. Since by smoking will deliver the nicotine by burning tobacco, which can cause a smoking-related illness, hence, if vaping by e-cigarettes will deliver nicotine by heating a liquid in a much less harmful way. Thus, a person who smokes inhales about 7,000 chemicals, whereas the vaping likely involves a lower number of chemicals. However, it isn't just the tobacco in the cigarettes that cause the cancer or other serious diseases. Hence, traditional cigarettes contain a laundry list of chemicals that are often harmful, and e-cigarettes have some of these same chemicals too. So, in the conclusions, e-cigarettes contains a large dose of nicotine compared to traditional cigarettes, and the liquid that didn't contain in traditional cigarettes will create the vapor is dangerous to adults and children if they swallow or inhale or get it on their skin. In the conclusion, both of these cigarettes is not good for our health. So we are suggested don't smoking. That's all from me. I will pass the floor back to our moderators. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Cheng, for giving us a clearer overview on e-cigarettes. Now we know that the key difference between a traditional cigarette and an e-cigarette is the amount of nicotine delivered to the smoker, in which e-cigarette contain a larger dose of nicotine compared to traditional cigarettes. This is an eye-opener for me because I've always thought that it was the other way around, where e-cigarettes are much more safer and contain a lesser dose of nicotine, but clearly, from what Officer Cheng has said, it is not the case. From there, we can say that both traditional cigarettes and e-cigarettes contain nicotine. But how does nicotine play a role in addiction? And what are the other causes of e-cigarette addiction? I believe Dr. Elaine Lim can give us an answer to this based on her medical experience. Let's welcome Dr. Lim.
So, hi everyone. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yes, all good.
Okay. So, my name is Elaine Limpobe. You can also call me Dr. Lim. I'm a doctor with 6 years medical experience, as just mentioned by our moderator just now. So, firstly, before I start, I do absolutely agree with the officer's statement just now, which was about the nicotine was a harmful substance. So today, I'm going to share the causal roots of the young generation's addictions toward e-cigarettes. So, when we talk about e-cigarettes, everything that links with e-cigarettes surely will lead to nicotine substance. So e-cigarettes, are also known as juice and vape pens, usually use a battery to heat up a special liquid into an aerosol for user to inhale. It is not just harmless water vapor. The e-juice that fills the cartridge usually contains nicotine, propylene glycol, flavoring, and also other chemicals. So studies have found that even e-cigarettes claiming to be nicotine free, still it will contain trace amounts of nicotine. Additionally, when the e-liquids heat up, more toxic chemicals are formed. So for all our audience knowledge, nicotine is a highly addictive substance that negatively affects adolescents' brains. So therefore, once the young generation get in touch with vaping, it will be hard for them to withdraw themselves from vaping. Okay, so the second cause of addictions toward e-cigarettes is the influence of a trend or friends. So since 2011, e-cigarettes have been introduced to Malaysia. It has become a trend, especially during recent years. We can see that when we go to a place that the young generations always go, it is certainly that two over three of them are holding the e-cigarettes or having that item. So this trend would make some curious generation follow the flow and accidentally drop into the addictions. So besides, generation nowadays will also lure their friend into buying e-cigarettes, maybe with reasons such as you will get more friends if you have this item, or everyone will look at you because you are too cool, etc. So some innocent generation will get into the trap. Lastly, e-cigarettes are also always said to be a stress reliever item. As I mentioned earlier, there are nicotine substance in the e-cigarettes. So in the short terms, vaping nicotine may feel good because it can stimulate and produce the feel-good feelings. So the feel-good chemical in the brain called dopamine can create feelings of pleasures and relaxations. So vaping nicotine also creates social opportunities to connect with others people and provide a distraction from stressful situation. So these are powerful drivers for continuing to vape. However, because of the way nicotines work in the bodies, those feel good chemicals doesn't last long. So within just a few hours, the effect of nicotine in the body wears off and it can lead to a desire to vape again. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Wow, nicotine does play a big role in getting smokers into addiction. Well, besides nicotine, from Dr. Lee, we know that the influence from trends or a friend and feeling stress can be the cause of e-cigarette addiction. Thank you again, Dr. Lim, for the comprehensive explanation. Now, let's continue with Miss Kerr. As an entrepreneur mingling with all sorts of people in your career, what do you think are the negative effects or disadvantages of taking e-cigarettes?
All right, thank you, moderator. So can you hear me clearly, right? All right. So hi everyone. I'm Nishi as an entrepreneur who sells the e-cigarette at the store of Albert Web House at Johor, as the moderator have mentioned just now. Basically, there are four types of vaping device, including chisel lights, vape pens, modes, and pomodes. However, this e-cigarette might bring some disadvantages to our human life. So today, I would like to share some disadvantages of consuming e-cigarette, or we call this activity as vaping. So first of all, the most obvious disadvantages of taking e-cigarette is that it can contribute to serious health risks, including like cancer and heart disease. For example, like lung cancer and either stroke. This is due to the chemical ingredients contained in the e-cigarette, which is the nicotine,
toxicant flavoring that potentially will harm to our human health. To emphasize, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) they have stated that six vaping-related deaths and over 450 possible cases of lung illness associated with e-cigarette as in 6 September 2019. So people who use e-cigarette, they will have a 71% increased risk of getting stroke and 40% higher risk of heart disease as compared to those non-user. Therefore, we can say that consuming e-cigarette can lead to serious health issues, namely the cancer and the stroke. So besides that, as I mentioned just now, nicotine is one of the ingredient in e-cigarette, right, which will harm to human health. So the second disadvantages is that the addictions to the nicotine can lead to the smoking behavior. As we know, nicotine can cause an addiction to those vaping smoker in which there is a chemical substance in the tobacco. So when a smoker they will become addicted to nicotine, they will become dependent on the action involved with using tobacco, even after meal or before meal, or even they feel stressed or depressed. So they will tend to try the regular cigarette, or we call the traditional cigarette. This can be supported by the research conducted by Kathleen and others. They argues that teenagers who use the e-cigarette are 4 times more likely to try traditional cigarette than other peers that who never use the tobacco. So with this, the e-cigarette user who are addicted to nicotine, especially the group of teenager, so they were definitely willing to try the traditional cigarette in a way of unconsciously. So last but not least, the use of e-cigarette might cause to an explosion. You know why that if you take the e-cigarette, it will comes to an explosion. This is because of the lithium-ion battery, the highly flammable liquid inside the battery, right? It will react with the oxygen and it cause the combustion. When we learn science in our school before, if the flammable liquid then react with the oxygen, it will definitely lead to the combustion, right? So there's the same concept there. So when there is the combustion occur, it will leads to the explosion consciously. So if unfortunately also this explosion might lead to the loss of our body part, namely our eyes, our nose, our mouth, tongue, ear, even the most outcome is might leads to the death. So there's also a news in January 2019. Passenger e-cigarette was overheated and causes the fire in the airplane cabin. It's not only that, the U.S. Fire Administration (USFA) was founded that 195 reports of the e-cigarette explosion and fires, including 133 acute injuries. So therefore, I hear that I can conclude that consuming e-cigarette have a lot of disadvantages that might harm to human life, especially regarding our health. So that's all from me. I will pass back to moderator. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, from Ms. Kerr, it is evident that e-cigarettes pose a threat to our health, safety, and our surroundings. Not only that, but children, especially teenagers in high school, are also affected with e-cigarette addiction, which in turn will affect their academic performance negatively. Surely we don't want to face more of these negative effects of e-cigarette, right? So, Mrs. Julia, can you tell us what are the ways we can do to prevent or to decrease the use of e-cigarettes in our society?
Thank you, moderator. Hi everyone, I am Julia, a mother of 5 teenagers. So today I would like to share about how I handle my precious children from e-cigarettes. So as a parents who are very concerned about family hygiene and health, my husband and I try our best to ensure that our children are not exposed to cigarette use. So to all the parents out there, or maybe you guys one day you are becoming a parents. So we remember this, that as a parent we are a powerful influence, even if our teenager our children seems to disagree with everything that we say. We can be strict with them as a precaution. Well, prevention is better than cure. So, to prevent our teenagers from e-cigarettes, the first and foremost on what we can do is by making our home a smoke-free home. Make our homes and vehicles tobacco-free by prohibiting use of all tobacco products, including e-cigarettes, by family members, friends, and guests. This is an important step to fully protect our children from exposure to second-hand cigarette smoke or second-hand aerosol from e-cigarettes. Giving a good example to our child, such as we ourselves do not smoke, whereas we can make our home a smoke-free home. So next, to prevent our teenagers from e-cigarettes, we can give them education about how harmful the e-cigarettes are. This is because once they start using the products that contain nicotine, including the e-cigarettes, they can become addicted. Such
Ah,
addiction has the potential to lead them from the harms of e-cigarettes by uh, such as e-cigarettes. Therefore, the best way to protect them from the harms of e-cigarettes is by preventing the use of these products. Next is restrict e-cigarettes use around our children is also one of the methods on how to prevent them from e-cigarettes. Parents can do this by not letting anyone use e-cigarettes or tobacco products around their children. Children are not only watching our behavior of others as, as an example, but they are also risk to exposure to the nicotine and other chemicals that can be harmful to to their health. Other than that, parents can restrict the use of e-cigarettes by controlling their children's lifestyle. Here means that not fully control, but as prevention, parents can control their children or teenagers' daily expenses. This can be done by giving them pocket money based on their needs, and after they spend the money, parents can ask for the receipt for their expenses. So, in conclusion, parents should be creative and have a thoughtful mind on or strategy on how to prevent their children from the usage of e-cigarettes. I think that's all for me. I give back to the moderator.
thank you, Mrs. Julia. These are good suggestions for prevention from getting addicted to e-cigarettes from a parent's perspective. So, it's through education, parents establishing a smoke free home, and restricting e cigarette use are some of the effective ways we can do to reduce the spread of e cigarette influence and addiction in our society. Well, that is all from our panels, and now is the time for our Q&A session. If you have any questions regarding our topic, please feel free to type them in the chat box or unmute your mic to speak so that we will have our panels to answer them. All right. So now we have one question. What is the disease we will get if we are addicted with e-cigarette? I will open it to the panels to answer the question.
I think I can answer this question.
Okay.
So actually, as we know, e-cigarettes produce a number of dangerous chemicals, including nicotine, acrolein, and formaldehyde. So these chemicals can cause lung disease as well as cardiovascular or heart disease. I think this is the common that we know.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Julia. Is there any other panels who would like to add on? All right. So there is a question. The second question, how does the government play a role in decreasing the use of e-cigarette? Does the other panels want to answer this question?
All right, can you hear me right?
Yes, Miss Kerr.
All right. So basically, I think we can, the government, right, they can like actually enact a law to like prohibiting the use of the e-cigarette, you know, the electronic cigarette or the vaping. So among those teenagers, especially those aged 17 and below in the state, so like they can like control the use of the e-cigarette as well. I think that's from my perspective lah. Maybe others panel can add on.
Yes, please feel free to. Officer Cheng, do you want to add on?
Okay, sure. And I also see a question that do you think the government can control the consumption of the e-cigarette among people? So in aspect of government, I I may suggest that the government also can control by restricted by the shipping aspect. To enhance or increase the prices of the cigarettes. It also is also as a way to control the usage of the e-cigarettes among our Malaysian people nowadays. This is some of our opinions by myself, and yeah, if anyone would like to add on, please feel free.
Okay. Thank you, Officer Cheng. Okay, due to time constraints, that will be the end of our Q&A session. Thank you all so much for joining us. And excuse me, from our entire session today, we have gained a lot of knowledge about e-cigarette and its addiction to teenagers especially, and I'm sure our audience feel the same way. With that being said, we have come to the end of our online webinar. But before you go, please fill in the attendance form that will be given in the chat box. Please ensure that all of your details are filled in correctly. Once again, I would like to thank all of our panelists for sharing their thoughts with us, and thank you to our audience for joining us. I humbly apologize for any mistakes or inconveniences caused. I, Evangeline Chong Jesi, will be signing off. Until we meet again,